Hey guys, welcome back to Illusion Connect. It's been a couple days. I've just been really busy, so unfortunately I haven't made a video. So there's been a couple new codes drop that I want to go through. If you've been paying close attention to the socials, you would have already got these, but we'll go through those. And then I want to talk a bit about the team formation that I've been using for most of the game and the strategy of just basically aiming to nuke the enemy leader. Look at my team formation, look at some substitutes and stuff like that for those that are trying to build such a team. So let's get into it. Okay, so first up we have a couple new codes since last time I did cover them. Let's hit redeem. So we have this one, IC Machine. Let's hit confirm. There we go. Get some goodies there. And they're doing a meme contest on their socials. So as they get entries, they give us some codes. So we've got IC Meme 100. Not too bad, I do enjoy the shards. And then we've got the next one, which is IC Meme 200 to collect. I'm kind of tempted just to try 300s to see if it's happened and I haven't noticed. So let's just try. This probably ain't gonna work, but I'm curious. I like, okay, it doesn't work. I like guessing where they're going next and see if they've already implemented them into the game before they actually activate them. But we've got those three codes, get some nice little goodies and go on your way. But now what I wanted to look at was my team formation, and like I said, my strategy is to go straight for the enemy leader and kill them as fast as I can. And for that, the best leader is definitely going to be, let's go over to him here, and that is the Nightmare Hunter. So we'll look at his passives when we look at our team formation, but I just wanted to show you his skills first up. We've got this one here, summons a cannon from the sky attacking targets in the column. The first one hit gets cops more damage than the next ones, but it does also reduce defense by 30% to all of them for 3 rounds, which can be very nice. We then have this one, uses a cannon to attack the leader, dealing 600% damage and ignoring 40% of the target's defense. Then we have this one. Basically, he increases the attack power of all his allies and then lets them all go ahead and attack. So there's different situations in which I use all of these. I know it's only a mild part of the team formation, but I quickly wanted to touch on it. This one is really good, obviously, when there's a bunch of enemies there. If the enemy leader has 3 enemies in front of them, and you can pop this and then go ahead and pop an AoE, you're going to get good damage out of that to be able to cleave those 2 in front of the leader, but also get decent damage against the leader, because keeping in mind, once you hit with that AoE, their defense is decreased by 30%. And on top of that, when you use this and then do an AoE, if that clears the board for you to put a single target nuker on the enemy leader, they still have that defense down, it's going to deal more damage. So a lot of the time I find this much more beneficial than using this attack directed straight at the leader, because I feel like the extra damage you're going to get from this between like your next 2 drops is generally going to be higher than the raw damage that this can deal. That's just my personal thoughts on it. This one does definitely have niche situations. If the enemy leader is really low, they got a board that's really threatening. Say for instance, they've got Gagaku, who's put out the 2 cats, whatever they are, and if you kill them, it's gonna hurt one of your units that you don't want to, you want to pop heals first, something like that. Can be very good. Also, if the lead is really low, can be really strong as well. And then we have this one. This one's basically for when you have a decent board setup and your enemy's board is looking weak. So getting the attack buff is huge, so this one is really nice for your team as well. But if you have a very clear board, this can be really nice to sort of, if you have a very full board, it can be very nice to deal some massive damage. Even if they've got other units on the board, the attack buff plus a bit of an extra attack, generate that rage, all that stuff is really nice for your teammates. This one is the one I use most, and then these 2 I use a similar amount. Like I said, this one when I got a full board, but once you start pushing further, your board isn't as full as often. So that is the way the leader is going to work. As for the lineup, we want to look at the passives that we want to activate. So this one, Maki, is going to be very important. We'll look at the first one though. Activation requirement: lineup's average energy is less than 14 and gives you damage against the enemy leader. So you have to get this one. For a leader rush team, this is a very important ability to activate. You can see your energy cost, average energy minus 13.7. You can see it over there. Keep an eye out for that when you're building your team. This one, deploy Maki or GG. Activation effect reduces the energy cost of the 4 initial cards by 1. Really strong. Yes, you can get it with Gigi, but Maki is very good because her passive is amazing in itself. Plus, she can deal decent damage. Mine is only 3-star, but I still do put her in the team because I just really like the passive as well. Her passive being that whenever an ally dies, it's going to deal damage to the enemy leader, which is very, very strong. Once again, in the leader rush team, just adding as much damage as you can into it. This next one, deploy at least 6 attack and sorcerer type partners, and you get attack and crit rate. I really think it's worth going for this one. When you're looking at the fact that you're trying to rush the boss, obviously attackers are going to be good for you, and there's some really good sorcerers that can help you out in this as well. And as you can see, this one, deploy at least 6 summon and spell partners, so you cannot activate both of these at the same time. Actually, can you? No, because we only have 10 slots. 10 slots, that would be 12 different to get it going. So you cannot activate both of them, so I don't stress about that one at all. Activation requirement on the next one, collect 80% of partners whose energy is 14 or less. That will just come in time. If you don't have it, rip. Eventually it will come. And then this one, deploy at least 5 SSR partners. Obviously, when you first start the game, you're not going to meet this requirement, but eventually you will get to it. And plus that early stage of the game, you're not really aiming for a strategy. You're still using the red leader. You're just trying to make your way in. So I wanted to look at my team. And talk about some of the substitutes that I do on my team, and then some of the substitutes that you can use if you don't have things like, like obviously Jemmy, because she's an absolute beast. So I'll go through all that. So Saya, really, really nice. The reason I absolutely love Saya in this is, okay, I got to stop clicking them. Okay, Saya is because she can delete those annoying tanks. The annoying taunt tanks, something like a Victoria comes up a lot in campaign, which is very frustrating and you've got to deal with. Obviously it doesn't work every time, but her passive to instant kill enemy partners is very, very good for that sort of stuff. On something when you do focus on a lot of single target damage, it's really nice to be able to do that and get them down. The other one is going to be Angela. Very, very hard to kill once she does pop her ult, so being able to one-shot them, although it doesn't happen every time, you can just keep retrying until the RNG falls in your favor. Next one, actually what I'll do is I'll go through my attackers first, and then we'll talk about the rest. So next one is Maki. Obviously Maki can do massive damage. Mine is only 3 stars, so she doesn't actually deal too much damage. Her passive is that whenever an ally dies, it deals damage to the enemy leader. Obviously I'd love to have her upgraded for that. I'm only a few shards away from 4-star, which is going to be very nice for her, but Maki, very, very good in the team. Then we have Pan. Now Pan has sort of dropped off on my team. As you can see, she's only level 100. I've been struggling with gold lately, but Pan, especially in the early parts of the game, she is going to be basically what makes this whole team works for most people. She's an SR, easy to get, and you can just deal some absolute massive single target damage with her, especially if there is no one else on the board. So I think everyone understands that Pan's a good unit, and especially in that early game, she's going to be the main carry for this type of team. And for a lot of people just in general, even if you don't know you're making this type of team, you're just putting Pan in there because you can drop her first and just about kill bosses in the early stages. Then we have Kasumi over here. Now Kasumi's in there because once again we're trying to kill the boss, so I can put her in the mid slot in front of my leader, and she's going to clear the way of the enemies in front of it, but also deal some massive damage to the enemy leader along the way. The other cool thing about Kasumi, and if you can get her, the banner for her doesn't open up until you've been playing the game for like close to a month, I think, so you won't have her early, but once she does unlock, definitely summon her from the banner if you can, because she's absolutely fantastic. She's going to steal shield and invincible effects from the enemy team. Really handy if they start with like a Shanty or something like that. Even if they have a Karaya, anything like that, she's stealing that shield, giving herself some extra tankiness, but also mitigating what they can, removing their damage mitigation. So she's incredibly strong. Jemmy here, now unfortunately she was a limited time event partner. I don't know if they'll bring it back. It's very unclear on that sort of stuff to me, but she's amazing. She has multiple lives, massive single target nuke, lifesteal. She's just amazing, but I'll go through replacements for Jemmy in a minute because some might not have her. Now for the remaining spots, those 5 I went through are all attackers, and the one passive that we need to activate is to have 6 attackers or sorcerers, and so Nina is the one that I've gone for in that last spot. Damn, I gotta stop clicking stuff. purely because she has that column damage. She can ramp up her damage. Unfortunately, mine is still at the low SR rating and at level 100, so I need to level her up. But just moving forward, I just feel like that column damage, being able to clear units in front of the enemy. Also, she does ramp up her single target damage just because she's got the passive. Basically, the longer she's out there, the more damage she's going to deal. So if you can protect her, she can be really, really nice. We then have Rikia. Ricky is there as just a solid tech choice. And we're moving into things that I'm happy to sub out on most battles. But Rikia and Miyuki are ones I normally have in there. So Rikia, one, you have the chance to CC the enemy team with her ultimate. Her special, when you get her to max stars, is actually going to silence for 2 turns as well, even though it's only a single target, which can be really helpful. And when she's deployed, she cleanses your team, which is also super nice. So she's just so versatile, and she sits in most teams for me. Then we have Miyuki. Miyuki's one I'd never drop from this team. Miyuki's just too good in the game until there becomes another option to do what she does. AoE energy reduction, and on top of that, it's increased against the enemy leader, is so nice. Miyuki's just... she's just god tier, and that's all there is to say about it. She's just too strong, and I would never put her out of any team pretty much. She's just too good in the game at the moment. Now, the next two are the ones that I heavily swap out depending on the enemy team. Now, I have in at the moment Amon. I really like Amon for the revive. You don't even have to have her leveled up too much. Obviously, if you do, she might survive longer, get a couple more revives, but she's able to revive any ally that can really impact it. It works really well with Jemmy at the moment, but like I said, most people don't have it, but it's pretty much there, just you get someone back, and when you revive them, they do activate their deployment passive as well, which can be really nice. Now, sometimes I do swap that out for Diamond, depending on how I play around with my team. Sometimes even Vivian. If I do this, as you can see with this formation, it goes up to 14.1. So Vivian doesn't slot in too well a lot of the time because I want to keep below that 14. But depending if I do make a few changes, for instance, if I didn't have Jemmy and I had Jemmy out of it, that would bring my effective energy down, and I could drop a Vivian. But I do sometimes do that's like a straight swap that I often do, is just straight for the Diamond for the heals, because she can fit in there pretty well. And I do like the Diamond being able to bounce back. Once again, more focused around the Jemmy, being able to bounce her back in the hand, put her back, get her lives back again. But for anything, really nice for if you can put a Miyuki out there, let her survive to her second ult, then bounce her back with a Diamond, and then go Miyuki again. It can be very, very powerful. And you can do that with just about anyone in your hand. If you get them to ult a second time, bounce back, ult again, it can be very devastating. And then obviously those are the two main ones that I do. Now I want to look at some replacements for this sort of a team. And also by the similar reason, sometimes I do just drop out Karaya and put in the Diamond, so I have some heals if I don't think I need the tanking, because I do have the Jemmy for some tanking. But I want to play as if we don't have the Jemmy and we don't have the Kasumi. What do you then lean into? In the early game, Rhi is fantastic. 13 energy cost, not too expensive, and just incredibly, incredibly strong. And then also we have Mary. This is just looking at some rare units for the very early game players. Mary does column-based damage, kind of like Nina, but also on top of that, she's going to increase the damage of allies in the hand, which is very strong. Now, keep in mind, with the rares, I don't like investing too much into them, like past level 100. They do start to fall off, maybe for fun. You can try it, and it may turn out to be a thing, but I just feel like their raw stat bonuses suffer, so I wouldn't push them too hard. But having said that, Mary can actually be used to decent effect, even at lower levels, because she is just buffing that damage in your hand. But once again, if you can have her deal some decent damage, and the other amazing thing about Mary is that 8 energy cost, which is going to really bring down the effective energy, the average energy of your team, and allow you to play around with a lot of different expensive heroes like that Vivian, because even though Vivian seems expensive, she actually does lower the next cost, so it is effectively a low energy team. But Mary is very good for that. And let's say you don't have a Maki. Like I said, I really do like the Maki because her passive is absolutely amazing for dealing extra damage to the enemy leader. But if you do not have her, you want to bring Gigi, because you need Maki or Gigi to get that passive. and that is the key. And as you can see here, we don't have the SSR partners. That's because if you're early on in the game, around the stages that we're talking about, this sort of team should be doable. There's nothing in here that's completely out of reach of anyone. The Miyuki you do get from the 7-day login, and that is going to be the only SSR in the team, say you get from the start. So as a very early on basic sort of team, that is probably something that you could look at, but obviously you want to upgrade to those better units along the way. Karaya as a tank is very handy for this. Without a tank, you may struggle a little bit. But as you can see from that, we do get our six bonus from the attackers and sorcerers. It's a bit more sorcerer heavy. Some of the other SR attackers seem not too bad. Carol is another one that I really do like. So we'll just drop you and put Carol up there. Carol's another one that I really do like for the very early game, because she does have that 9 energy cost, which is incredibly cheap. Also, her attacks are going to reduce the enemy's attack by I think 60 or 70%. Really effective, especially if you can get her hitting the enemy leader, meaning that that enemy leader is no longer a threat at all. And once again, I really respect low deployment cost heroes, so she becomes really nice. But like I said, some of the SRs like Penny can do some decent damage. However, I just don't like investing into too many of those niche units when all you need to do is pull an SSR that will end up replacing them. That's just my vibes. I don't like to invest too heavily into niche units that I won't get too much use out of, because experience does become an issue and gold for upgrading things does become an issue later on. Anyway, I hope that gives you guys a bit of an idea at the team. The basic gist is have column damage and AoE damage. Well, Rikia and Miyuki are they're just good. But then for your sorcerers, aim for that column damage, but you can, if you need to, use the Hachishiki. Where's the other one? Where is she? Like Phoebe can slot into any team because she can be really decent, pseudo tanking as well. But you get the idea. You can do some of those things. You can even use a Nicola, can be decent. Just get that bonus, get the 6 sorcerers and attackers, Miyuki and Rikia, and then you can tech in the rest of the choices for what is working for you, and just from the pool that you have pulled. Like a Karaya is very fantastic just as a general tank. Anyway, starting to ramble. Hope you get the idea. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.